The Bible is one big story of redemption, and we are living out that story in our own lives every day. No matter what you've been through, what you may be going through, and what you will go through, God's love and redemptive work through Jesus is our hope, and we can find peace in the midst of any struggle. Welcome to the Redeeming Podcast. I'm your host, Joni. Sit back, listen, and let's walk this journey of redemption together. Hey, welcome to the Redeeming Podcast. I'm your host, Joni, and as you can see, I have some amazing guests with me today. This is Paul and Annabelle Hart. And speaking of hearts, I can't wait to hear what's on your heart. See what I did there? Anyways, you guys, I'm just so happy to have you here. I've been looking forward to this because I know God's got a lot of wisdom that I want to learn, but I know other people want to hear and share. But before we get there, why don't you guys just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Go ahead, baby.
Ooh. So I'm Annabelle. I come from Puerto Rico, the island of Puerto Rico. I was raised by single mom. I was brought up through church, Baptist, very religion focused, and I moved to United States to work. I'm a chemical engineer by training, and and I am a mom. Mom of a 17-year-old. I love adventures. Everything that is new excites me. Everything that is high energy, I love. I'm very passionate about everything about Jesus. I have traveled twice with my church. One was to Israel. Another one was to Rwanda, a mission trip.
It's amazing.
And since then, my love for understanding the scriptures has grown exponentially. Wow, I'm just excited that through my journey, just recently, well, I would say not recently, but I would say the last 5, 6 years of my life have been very important because I discover gifts that the Lord put inside of me. And I am so excited, and I have been very committed to walk through whatever needs to happen, being obedient with the assignments and the callings in my life. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to partner up
Yeah.
with my husband now. And I think it's wonderful that we get to be invited to speak about our journey.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you.
Of course. And also I want to add, you are like the hostess with the mostest. Like Annabelle's gift of hospitality and just your generous spirit, I mean, is over the top, guys. I mean, it is legit. And you're just a strong, beautiful, godly woman. And I'm so happy to know you. Yeah. You guys may have picked up, she just said that they're now married. We're going to talk about that later because this is a very exciting love story here, but patience. We'll get there. So, Paul, tell us just a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Paul Hart, and I have been here in Delaware now for 20 years, originally from North Carolina. I was a licensed minister. I'm also an ordained elder as well. I experienced so much. I had a great experience, an amazing experience with God back in high school, and had another experience with God in college. Really transformed my life, and I'm just so grateful to be here. We're honored to be here, and I do believe with all my heart that the Lord is going to speak tonight and share some things and use our stories of redemption.
Already tearing up. Choking up over here. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what God does. Well, on that note, I think that's a really good segue into even why we're here. You know, the Bible is one big story of redemption. And, you know, I've shared my story of redemption, but you know what? We're always in the process of being redeemed. You know, we're always on our journey to becoming more and more like God and Jesus and following his steps and growing. And I think there's so much power in sharing our redemption story up to this point. And so that's why I've asked you guys here, because we do want to hear both of your stories, but individually.
So, Paul, we're going to start with you. You're going to be first man up. So, Annabelle, I'm just going to ask for you to go sit in our live audience out here. You guys didn't even know we had a live audience. Don't trip over a cat or a toddler. It'll be good. Well, cool. All right,
I'm just gonna get comfy.
brother, get comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm going to get comfortable too.
All right.
Um, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so honored to be sitting across from you, and I don't know your story. I know bits and pieces, and I feel like this is a new friendship for us all, and we're getting to know one another. So I just want to give you the floor. I want to hear about, how you came to know Christ and your story up until this point. So wherever you would like to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I was raised by a dad who was
Mm-hmm.
an alcoholic and an abuser, and he abused my mom, and my mom decided to leave him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at a very young age. I wasn't someone that was raised in church. There was maybe one instance my dad told us to go to church, and he didn't even go with us. My dad ended up passing away when I was 13 years old. And so, with my mom being out of my life, my dad being out of my life, my aunt decided to take me and my younger brother at that time in. So, no history of God or anything like that. But even though I didn't hear much about God in the household, I never was like against God
Yeah.
or anything like that. So moving forward, I went to North Carolina and I was originally in New Jersey, went to North Carolina. I was there my sophomore year
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up meeting a friend who was really popular, a guy
Mm-hmm.
named Derek. And we became good friends. But Derek was like the bad guy. Derek
Okay.
was like very popular. All the girls liked him, you know. But he messed around with selling drugs and had guns and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. I was the good guy.
Okay.
I was, a little quiet, a little shy. Didn't really do too much.
Mm-hmm.
One day Derek comes up to me and he's like, "Hey Paul, I want to tell you something." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Man, I just want you to know that I love you and I want you to go to heaven." And I remember looking at him like, okay, that's a little weird
Yeah.
because you are on your way to hell. And I don't even really fully understand all this, but I'm pretty sure if anybody going is you. And so he began to tell me about the church that he was going to.
Okay.
And he began to tell me about the pastor. And he said that the pastor taught in a very practical way, and you were able to ask questions and to
Okay.
learn. And like I said, I was never opposed to God for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason. So I decided to go. The church was about 45 minutes away. I'm in Siler City, North Carolina. And what he said was true. Pastor was a very good teacher, very down to earth,
Mm-hmm.
taught very practical, took biblical truths and made it so relatable. And that meant a lot, especially for a young high school kid.
Mm.
I went there a few times and I decided that I wanted to give my life to the Lord,
Wow.
but I thought I needed to be in church.
Okay.
And so I waited, but then I found out that you don't have to be in church.
Yeah.
So I never forget it. I actually gave my life to the Lord in a restaurant. Did the prayer there in the restaurant.
By yourself or?
No, with his family, Derek's
Oh,
family. Yeah, Derek
wow.
mom was a minister. His stepdad
The
was
guy with drugs and guns had
eh,
a mom for a minister.
yes, he did.
Those
Yes, he
PKs.
did. Yeah. And so I'll never forget that moment. But what really affected me about God and
Mhm.
Christianity was there was a conference in Charlotte, North Carolina. It
Mhm.
was called the New Generation Ministry Conference. And at that time, it was really high and really exciting. I didn't know nothing about it. All I know is Derek knew a little about it, and he said, "Listen, I want you to know something. We're going to go to this conference, and it's at a hotel. It's like a five-star hotel." And he was like, "It's going to be a lot of people there, and then there's going to be prayer. But I want you to know it's going to be like 5 a.m." And I'm like, I'm just listening because I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited, but I'm like, what's about to happen?
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was like, I also want you to know, just to prepare you, that it's going to be all kind of praying. So you're going to hear people, you're going to see people on their knees. You're going to hear
Uh,
people yelling. You're going to hear people like talking in other
it's
languages.
the
And at this
Pentecostal
point,
prep talk.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm about to get into, but I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
down. And so we went to this conference, and I'll never forget it. Soon as we get in there, me and Derek, are amazed with how
Mhm.
many young adults
Mhm.
our age are there.
Mhm.
And oh my God, there were some women in there. So,
Oh, no.
we were newly saved,
Yes.
going to a conference, noticing women from all over. And so our mindset just was not in the right place.
Right.
And it's important to share that because there was a gentleman who watched us and he walks up to us. He was probably a little older, walks up to us and he's like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" We was like, "Oh man, we good. We're fine. How are you?" And he was like, I saw you guys over there, staring at the women and everything, whatever. He was like, "I got a question for you." And I'm like, "Okay." Not knowing what's about to happen, right?
Right,
And
right.
so he says, "What do you think their father would think about some of those thoughts maybe
Oh.
went through your head?" And we kind of looked at each other and was like, and you know what? I wonder why we didn't think that man was weird, but we didn't think he was weird. He just kind of caught off guard. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
was like, well, I don't think we will want him to know.
Mhm.
And then he said, well, God knows all our thoughts from afar off, and
Mm.
he's our heavenly father. And when he said that,
Mhm.
it kind of brought us back into focus of
Wow.
why we was there.
Yeah.
We wasn't upset with the guy.
Mhm.
He did it in a strong way, but it was gentle enough for us
Mhm.
to receive it.
Mhm.
And after that point is when we just, got focused.
Yeah.
And for me, never experiencing church, never experiencing the power of
Mhm.
prayer, never experiencing none of that stuff.
Mhm.
I go in a 5 a.m. prayer, and it was exactly what he said.
Mhm.
There were people praying loud. There were people praying on their knees, people speaking in tongues, which I
Mhm.
didn't even know what that was at the
Mhm.
time. All I remember was I got on my knees
Mhm.
and I started praying. And you can tell, even as a new believer,
Mm.
that something was happening in
Yeah.
there, energy was there. And I was on my knees and I prayed for 45 minutes, the longest I've ever prayed in my entire life. And I ran out of things to pray. I literally could not think of anything
Yeah.
else. Everybody was still praying. So I was like, let me listen to Derek.
Right.
Derek was saying things to God, and I was like, yeah, God, that too.
Me too.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
too, Lord.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that person too.
Right.
And then after that experience, we end up going to the conference, and there were multiple speakers. But there was one, I was blown away by how many youth were there.
Mm.
Hundreds and hundreds of youth
Yeah.
were there. And the praise and worship, and you see people your age like
Yeah.
going for God. It's like, what is happening? It's like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but I literally saw a miracle happen right before my eyes. I saw a man who came in a wheelchair get healed and walk out of that
What?
wheelchair right there
That is
in that
amazing. That's
service.
building your faith right
Oh my
there.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
That right there just lit a fire in
Mhm.
me. And I didn't know it then, but God's
Mhm.
hand was already on my
Mhm.
life and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was me and Derek was so touched and moved by what God was doing
Mhm.
that we end up hosting Bible studies after all the
Come
conferences
on
were
now.
over.
Yeah.
We got we were standing outside our
Yeah.
hotel rooms. We had a circle of people just around us, and
Yeah.
we were just doing Bible studies.
Yeah.
Never opened up the Bible, never anything.
Yeah.
Just the power of God was just there.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, like this is absolutely
Mhm.
amazing.
Mm.
Once again, that was that conference. I lived in Durham at the time, North
Okay.
Carolina. The church was in Siler City, 45 minutes away. We didn't have a car, so we wasn't able to go to church a whole lot. I remember I was so moved by what God did. I had a girlfriend
Mhm.
at the time.
Mhm.
And at that time, I was having sex. And I got back and I said to her, we are not having sex no more. God did this this is just not happening.
Wow.
I
You
was
had a
really on fire.
complete
Yes.
change. Yeah.
I would skip lunch and go to the library and tell the testimony of what I saw at this place. And people were
Wow.
just coming in there listening to the story because it was as if God just lit a candle
Mhm.
and that thing just kept burning on the inside of me
Yeah.
and I couldn't get away from it. But church is so important. Going to church is so
Mm.
important
Yeah.
because that's where you grow. God says that He gives apostles and prophets
Mhm.
and pastors and teachers. He gives these gifts to the body for you to grow, for
Yes.
you to be encouraged. I didn't understand all that. So we stopped going because we didn't have a car and we wasn't always readily available. And then when his mom invited us, we was like, oh, no, not this time. And so we just stopped going slowly but surely. It wasn't that I stopped believing in God. It was just that the fire started getting smaller and
Mm,
smaller and smaller. And by the time I got to college, there was a whole new different story about where I was spiritually. And God met me in college again.
again. Ugh,
He set me up big time. And when he did that, I got filled with the Holy Ghost. He put me around people that love God.
mm,
And that didn't happen until maybe my third year in college.
mm,
And people were literally coming up to me saying, I didn't believe in God until now because I saw you when you first got here. And what I'm seeing now, there has to be a God. And it was like I was like a
mm.
wildfire. I
Wow.
would go into the cafeteria, I would battle, like not really battle, but I would talk to like 5 percenters who believe that they're
Yeah.
God and the women are the earth and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I would just
And you're doing this as a new Christian, or by this
absolutely,
time are
absolutely,
you
absolutely, because
learning and
this was my second time around of
yeah,
experiencing God, and
yeah,
I saw grace and
yeah.
redemption even that early, because I remember telling God
Mhm.
this, I said, "God," because I was thinking, and, this Imma be me,
Mhm.
I'm
Mm,
just gonna
yeah.
be me,
Yeah.
but I was leaving, going to my room, thinking about what girl I was gonna sneak in,
Right.
and I heard God say to me, "Come back home."
Mm.
And it rattled everything on the inside of me. And I used to have these deals with God, like, God, if you can just be patient with me, don't let me get AIDS or don't
Right.
let my brother die, or because those things will get me to run to you as fast as possible. I had these little
Right. Yeah.
conversations with him, and through his grace, he set me up. And that's a whole nother story, but he
Yeah.
set me up and I caught fire on God again
Yeah.
and got around some people that love God, got really serious about church and about my walk with God,
Mhm.
got baptized in the Holy Spirit, and then beginning to just really see
Yeah.
God move in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you know what I think so encouraging for a lot of listeners who, and I pointed out like you were still a new Christian, but you still went out there and just shared the word. And I think sometimes we feel like we don't know enough to share
Yes.
the word. We're not qualified to share the word. And we become timid and hide our faith, you know. And I just think it reminds me of the early church, right? Like you just got together daily, you shared the word, and they were learning. They were learning, they were growing. During that time, how big of a part did community play in to your
Oh
growth?
man, it was a very big part
Yeah.
because I end up getting associated with people that went to the same pastor that was
Okay.
in Siler City. He
Yeah.
had a church in Greensboro, North Carolina, where
Yeah.
I went to college. And I went to see him. And the church was much larger. It had
Hmm.
a lot more youth there. And people were just on fire for
Yeah.
God there. And I got associated with those people. And it was as if God was just
Yeah.
increasing the circle. My roommate got saved. Our friends, some of our friends around us was getting saved, and
Hmm.
it was just like a wildfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
it was very, very
yeah.
important because I didn't have that. That's kind of
Yeah.
why I dwindled back because I didn't have the community. I didn't
Yeah.
have the reinforcing,
Hmm.
the talking to people, to having people pray for you, and
Yeah.
you can get to discuss your things that you struggle with and things
Right.
of that nature. So it's so important to
Yeah.
be with brothers and sisters
And
in
how old are
Christ.
you at this time?
I was probably 19,
Okay.
19. Yeah.
Okay. And then from there, you went on to become a minister
Yes, in
and
college.
an
Yeah.
ordained in college. You're
Yeah.
a
I was a
minister.
licensed minister in college. Yeah.
Way to go! Wow. And you said an ordained
Elder.
elder.
Yeah. That didn't happen
Okay.
until my move to Delaware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So more recent then
Yes.
in your timeline. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. So, because I don't know what all you have planned to talk about. Are you going further into your story? Or are we going to save that for?
Are we going to save that?
We're going to save
We're going
that.
to save
Okay,
that.
we're going to save that. So Paul, is there anything else that you want to leave with our audience? I always like to hear if there's one takeaway, one word of encouragement for your listeners based off of your story and what you experienced. What can they
I,
learn?
what I would say is you will get from God
Hmm.
what you're willing to receive.
Oh, yeah.
And that is so important
Hmm.
because I think we get saved and we feel like God has to do everything. But he said, if you draw close to me, I'll draw
Draw close
close
to you.
to you. And so we have to do our part. And
Hmm.
that's what I found out, even at an early age, is that when I started really seeking him, I really started experiencing more of
Yeah,
his presence,
yeah,
more of him doing things into my
yeah.
life.
We were talking about this earlier. If it's okay if I say, you said this, I'm so glad God's not human, meaning like us in flesh, right? Like he's omnipresent, omnipotent. Thank you. But he also sits outside of time. He sets an
He's
eternity,
eternal.
and every work in our life sets outside of time.
Mm.
Redemption sets outside of time. And
Yes.
so when you were talking about as a young boy, but you were curious about like you weren't opposed to the church.
No.
And I think that work of redemption that sets outside of the time was always working on you. And
Yes.
there's these moments in time where that redemption, just like salvation, his grace, his love, his mercies, intersects time right in a moment in our life when we need it. And we just continually get to intersect with
Yes.
eternity every time he shows up. And he did that for you
Yes.
time and time
Yeah.
again.
The most amazing thing is
Yeah.
that we're experiencing what was already done.
Was already done. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
And
in
he is-
time experiencing what has
It's already
already
been.
happened in eternity. When Jesus died on the cross, the Bible says
Yeah.
the lamb was slain before the
Yeah.
foundations of
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
And if we really get to a place where we can grasp the
Mm-hmm.
revelation of that, the understanding of that, we wouldn't worry.
No,
We wouldn't doubt.
we wouldn't worry. Yeah.
We'll be so
Yeah.
focused on the
Mhm.
fact that we serve an eternal God that has it already figured out.
Mm.
Nothing catches him off guard.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
good. I love that. Well, this has been so wonderful and uplifting, and I've enjoyed our time
I
today.
have enjoyed it.
So we're going to wrap up there. Make sure you share this podcast with anyone you think that would benefit from hearing Paul's message. Stick around for part 2 because we're going to bring Annabelle back to hear her story. And then you definitely don't want to miss part 3 when we're going to bring you guys together and talk about y'all's story. So follow me, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the
Yes.
places.
Like and share.
Like and share. All right. I'm going to make that my ringtone now. Well, thanks again. It was so great seeing you, and watch for the next episode. All right, cool. Good job.
That was fun.